are brothers and sisters in sacrifice and service, gathered to honor the dead by serving the living. We are the veterans of foreign wars of the United States of America, dedicated to preserving the freedoms that are dear to us and embodied in Old Glory. To understand us, you must understand where we have been and what we have accomplished. And you must understand the cost associated with those accomplishments. So it is with us personally and with our great organization. We entered the current year in a mood of determination and celebration, having just won a new GI Bill for the 21st century and the largest VA budget in history. As the year began, a presidential election campaign was in full swing, and with addresses by then President George W. Bush and the two major party contenders, Senators John McCain and Barack Obama. Glenn M. Gardner of the Department of Texas takes the helm as VFW National Commander-in-Chief. In his inaugural address, he announces plans to restructure the National Veteran Service Grant Program to provide more funding for service work, calls for a streamlining of the VFW with a focus on programs. He emphasizes continued modernization of the VFW for a generation of new members and dedicates himself and the organization to a year of honor, sacrifice, and service. The year is an outstanding one for service. The iconic Buddy Poppy program raises $11 million for needy veterans. The Voice of Democracy program distributes $2.1 million in scholarships and incentives, while continuing to build youth patriotism and recognizes the talents of outstanding young people like winner Natalie Szabo of the Department of Washington. Bolstered by over $120,000 from sports clips, Operation Uplink reaches an 11 million connections made milestone. 3 million of those connections have been made since free call days for service members in the Middle East began in 2006. Total families helped by the Unmet Needs Program nears 2,000. $2.7 million in emergency grants, over $1.5 million of which has helped struggling military families with housing needs. This year, we celebrate a $250,000 donation for the Unmet Needs Program from Burger King's Mid-America Franchisee Association and the Buy a Burger, Donate a Buck initiative. The VFW's Military Assistance Program hosts morale-building events for another 270,000 service members and their families, and increases a number of military units adopted by posts and auxiliaries by 30%, a total of 1,000 units. More than 120,000 veterans and their families are assisted by the VFW's National Veteran Service, which also helps 95,000 veterans recover more than $1.2 billion in earned compensation and pension benefits. Represents 4,300 veterans and survivors at the Board of Veterans Appeals. Establishes new benefits delivery and discharge service offices at Fort Stewart, Georgia, and in Washington, D.C., and conducts skill-level training for more than 170 VFW-accredited veteran service officers. Coordinates the efforts of over 7,000 volunteers who donated nearly 800,000 hours of service to hospitalized veterans. More than 1,000 wounded service members are hosted by the VFW at NASCAR events, and we present a $25,000 check to Road to Recovery for its programs, assisting current military personnel and veterans in rehabilitation.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars will now present the Road to Recovery with a contribution of $25,000. VFW's donation will provide financial assistance for Veterans Assistance military cycling rehab programs, including equipment, clinics, and outings for veterans. Thank you, VFW and Road to Recovery.
At the VFW's Midwinter Conference in Louisville, Michael Weiskopf is honored with the News Media Award for his committed effort toward providing genuine insight into U.S. military service and the recovery process that the wounded service members face. 21 department commanders present checks to Operation Uplink, and 3 teachers win the VFW National Citizenship Education Teacher Award. Featured speakers include Victor Biggs of the Disabled Veterans Life Memorial Foundation, General Reuben Jones, Adjutant General of the U.S. Army, and VA Secretary Eric Shinseki. The year presents new challenges and trends to be met. With the number of women veterans increasing, the VFW creates the She Serves community to provide female members with networking and a forum through Facebook and MySpace. VFW and VetJobs.com online employment service play an important role for veterans in today's struggling job market. And with the long-fought-for new GI Bill taking effect, the VFW throws its communications resources behind instructing veterans on how to apply for its entitlements. In its role as the voice for America's veterans, the VFW had a busy year of speaking out and setting the record straight, denouncing the shredding of some veterans' VA documents as a disgraceful management failure, urging Congress to include small businesses in economic recovery legislation, warning that the closing of the Guantanamo Terrorist Confinement Center is neither justified nor prudent, urging the administration and Congress to increase the investment in veterans' health care and benefits by $3.6 billion, welcoming President Obama's strategy to defeat al-Qaeda and Taliban forces in Afghanistan and Pakistan, supporting his decision not to allow release of photos showing prisoner abuse in Iraq and Afghanistan, and supporting all efforts to help today's new veterans to cope with the stresses of war and stem the increase in military suicides. We made our presence felt in Washington early in the year, making our concerns about proposals to bill service-related injury and disability claims to veterans' private insurance. Commander-in-Chief Gardner continued our insistence against this abrogation of national responsibility in his address to the Joint Congressional Committee in March.
It is unconscionable to pass along the cost of war to wounded and disabled veterans. At its most basic level, Veterans Affairs is about caring for these men and women. As Abraham Lincoln noted, their care is the price a grateful nation pays. This proposal would lead to disabled veterans subsidizing their own injuries through increased premiums and fees as insurance companies try to find ways to pass along the added expense.
Gardner continued with our second major concern, lost and delayed claims.
Consider the recent revolutions of hundreds of documents in shredded bins, intentionally misdated claim files, and 16,000 pieces of unprocessed mail at just one regional office. Are these signs of a system veterans can trust? We do not believe so.
He encouraged more electronic record keeping, long-term solutions, thorough attention to mental health and suicide issues, and appropriate response to the fact that women will constitute 10% of veterans within about 10 years.
Almost 200,000 women have now been sent into a combat situation, not as nurses, not as clerks, but on the front line, wearing flak jackets and carrying rifles, being wounded, losing arms, losing legs. We must take care of those women. They must understand that the VA is there for them as it has been for every veteran that has served this country in the future and then now.
While in Washington, the Commander-in-Chief spoke to the House Small Business Committee, urging increased federal and stimulus-related contracts for veteran-owned small businesses, and met face-to-face with President Obama on the third-party billing issue. The meeting was a success, with the President agreeing that he would not pursue the proposal if it was not acceptable to America's veterans organizations. It was one of many significant victories in Washington. In addition to beating back the third-party pay issue, we won reintroduction of advance funding legislation for the Department of Veterans Affairs and secured an excellent first proposal for the 2010 VA budget. The VFW's Washington office successfully advocated continued support for our troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as the war on terrorism at home. Testified before Congress on improving POW MIA recovery operations, and won lower premiums for TRICARE Reserve Select. It has been a remarkable year, one of which we can all be proud. As we prepare for the year ahead, we already face a full agenda. We must continue to press for passage of the Women's Veterans Healthcare Improvement Act, win a defense budget that fully funds all weapons, personnel, and health care, secure a military pay raise of at least 3.4%, lower the retirement pay age for all reserve component members, support an effective ballistic missile defense system, re-energize POW MIA accounting efforts with full funding for the Joint POW MIA Accounting Command, secure and protect America's borders and points of entry, continue support for the Republic of China on Taiwan, stand behind American efforts to end North Korea's nuclear weapons program, and remain ever watchful to protect our national defense and hard-fought veterans' entitlements. We stand ready to fulfill the VFW's mandate of service to those who deserve it most, our nation's veterans, military service members, and their families.